Hi everyone, my name is Courtney and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be starting a little bit of a holiday vlog. It is still the beginning of December, so I'm hoping to actually film this month and get it out before the 25th. But basically last year I did a holiday vlog, kind of a little bit a part of my seasonal reading vlog series, but also just kind of a fun vlog where I got to read holiday themed books. I read a YA novel. I think it was How to Excavate a Heart, which is a Jewish holiday Christmassy romance book. I know Jewish Christmassy doesn't quite make sense, but it makes sense if you read this. And then the other book I read was an adult romance Christmas read, which was Kiss Her Once for Me, which is how I discovered, maybe unlike a lot of people, I really like really messy romance novels where just like queer characters are just being complete asses and just like doing all the bad things. And so I want to continue that this year by reading some more romance books. And I don't know a lot about these besides that they are holiday romances. That's just kind of what I went off of. And these were some titles that I was interested in last year but didn't quite get to, and I honestly don't know the plot of any of them, again, besides that they fit into this romance holiday category. So to start off, I have Season of Love, which I believe is a Jewish holiday romance book based on the iconography that you see on the cover. Again, I don't know much about this except people were liking it last year that read it. It looks super cute. I love like the cover. They look cute. Can't wait to discover what this actually is. But, you know, holiday, romance, queerness, I will probably end up liking it because I have very low standards apparently. The next book I picked up was not initially on my list, but we had a bunch of it at my bookstore and I kept seeing it, so it just made me more intrigued the more I looked at it, and that is In the Event of Love. I believe this is kind of like maybe playing off the standard holiday Hallmark Channel kind of romance things of like girl from the city going to a small rural town, but it's queer. So that makes it all the more fun and enjoyable for me. Again, I really don't know what this is about besides Christmas holiday romance book. And then our last book is You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince. This is an author that I've been interested in all of their books, but I just haven't gotten to any of them yet. And this is also, obviously the title is playing off The Grinch, which is personally my favorite Christmas movie. So I'm excited to see what that entails, if it has Grinchness in it or not. It seems like it definitely is leaning into that with the green cover, but I don't know. Actually, surprisingly, are a lot of Christmassy holiday queer romance novels, especially in the past couple years. It seems like we've been getting a ton, and I love them. They're bright, they're colorful, they're fun, they're festive. It gets me really in the mood, and I just want to read all of them so that I can talk about them and recommend them. For this vlog, we're gonna attempt to read these three and I will discuss them. But first off, I'm going to be starting with Matthew Prince, just because this is the book that I happen to get on audiobook, so I can listen to this while at work, which I feel like this kind of romancy, fun, Christmassy read is going to be the perfect thing for work. So yes, let's get started with this holiday vlog. I started reading the Matthew Prince Christmas book. So basically the premise is that Matthew Prince is a 21-year-old socialite in New York, kind of goes off the rails, crazy partier, doesn't really have a path in life, and his parents decide to cut him off when he buys an island. From there, has to go spend Christmas with his grandparents in kind of like rural Massachusetts, and then he meets this other university student who is staying with his grandparents and kind of helping them out. It is one perspective, just Matthew Prince's, and it's basically his story of like coming into his own, figuring stuff out, realizing that he is like just, you know, he knows he's super privileged, but it's like him kind of figuring stuff out about that. It's not that I don't like those type of characters. I think they work extremely well. They're super great to have for protagonists. They just lend themselves really well to a story of growth. But I will say, like, he is fun, he is quirky. I can see this kind of character, like this obnoxious over-the-top character, really working. But at the same time, like, he is billion-dollar trust fund kid. 10 years ago, I would have been really okay with that, kind of, you know, just jumped on it, really quirky, had a really good time with it. But now I'm just like reading this kind of privileged character and I'm like, the state of the world that we're in, this is not like fun, quirky, jokey joke, you know, it's like a little bit difficult to read. Like, I'm trying to put that out of my mind because, like, you know, he's not a real person, and I don't think the writer themselves is like a trust fund child or privilege either, so I'm like trying not to think about it too hard. Like, I will say, if you read the Alex Hall book, Paris Downcourt is About to Crumble, and you thought he was annoying, you should not read this one. You will find him extremely grating. And I personally don't. I understand the narrative that's at work here, and I think it works well. There are moments where I wish we got like a little bit more depth, like some things were kind of switched around. I wish it was multiple perspectives. Like I wish we were getting the other love interest perspective, because this is kind of like a story about like a city person coming to a small town. I think it would have worked better if they had actually grown up in this small town, was coming back and like finding friends that he had left. There's like a tentative friendship between him and a barista, and if like that was actually like an established high school relationship that he's like trying to amend for, and like if the grandparents amending, like it is part of the story, but I wish that relationship was more in the forefront, you know, then I think like this story would have had a little bit more ground to work with. Right now I'm like 25% of the way through, and it just feels like we're just kind of swimming a little bit in trying to place ourselves in like the Matthew Prince character, which I don't necessarily think is bad, but like he's already feeling lust, he's already feeling attracted to our main male love interest, which is like not a bad thing, but like this story is so much about him being annoying and realizing that he's annoying that I wish that the other relationships were kind of more at the forefront and that the romance came up a little bit later. And the other thing that kind of annoyed me or grated on me a little bit with this character is that he struggles with anxiety, has panic attacks, which is fine and good, but I feel like he's definitely using it as an excuse. And I think the anxiety was supposed to be a way to like connect with this character, to kind of sympathize for him and kind of give him a little bit more depth as a character. I like the representation of it, but the character is just coming off a little bit whiny and like kind of using his like anxiety to like be like, oh, poor me. And I'm just like, no. At least in the way that it's like being used. I'm just like, your anxiety is not an excuse for you to act the way you're acting in some of these situations. So that's the only other thing. But like overall, like it's fun. It's camp. I could definitely watch this as a movie. Again, it's kind of hard to watch Trust Fund Kid as the main character, but like overall, it's just like very messy, disaster kind of main character, which is honestly what I'm looking for in a holiday or just any kind of queer romance story. That's just what I like. I don't hate it. I am enjoying my read of it, but I will say like it is not going to be like a perfect read for me because of those things. And the other thing that I'm listening to right now while I make dinner and stuff is I am listening to the podcast Sherlock & Co. And I know a lot of people don't watch my channel, but I just need to tell other people about this. And I found out about it when there was, I believe, 4 or 5 episodes out. So it's like a super new podcast. It only has like 10 episodes out now, but Sherlock & Co. It's obviously a Sherlock retelling. It's modern and it's super well produced. It's really fun. It's basically a radio drama. And if anybody has ever heard the Good Omens radio drama or parts of it, it gives very much that kind of energy and I really, really love it. It's super funny. Watson is dealing with his PTSD, having coming back from being a soldier in the Ukraine war. And then Sherlock, obviously he's just off his rocker, super crazy, like every Sherlock. But what I love is that they're pretty explicit about like the stuff that Sherlock is going through. Like, you know, he's not just like his obnoxious kind of cold-hearted self. Like they are very obviously making him autistic, possibly OCD. I think he says like a bunch of stuff that he thinks that he has been diagnosed as, like ADHD, OCD. But like they are putting it in the episode. Like he wants to wear his noise-canceling headphones when they go out. He wants to wear sunglasses. He doesn't want to put a suit on because it feels gross to him. Like they're very explicitly putting it into the show, and it makes me happy every time a little thing comes up like that. And the other thing that I really love about this production so far, like there's a lot of care between how they wrote Watson and Sherlock together. Like a lot of times with buddy cop shows where like one is like the pretentious, aloof, kind of mean, smart character, they tend to make him a little bit too mean to his like buddy cop ally character that's kind of like a more humane perspective. You know, Sherlock is acting aloof, he is acting kind of his like cold, standoffish self, but there is still a lot of care that Sherlock gives to Watson. Like it definitely feels like they are friends. It definitely feels like they care about each other, that they're trying to help each other out. There's just like a couple of moments where Sherlock is trying to comfort and be there for Watson, which in the podcast, it's only been like maybe a month or couple months into their relationship at this point. So I really appreciate them having that kind of dynamic where it looks like they actually care about each other and are actually friends outside of the podcast or like the crime situation. So definitely give Sherlock & Co. a a listen if you are a big Sherlock fan. That's where I'm kind of at for this evening. I don't think I'm going to read any more of Matthew Prince because it is also my dog's 16th birthday, so I'm going to be loving him, giving him some extra attention tonight. But yeah, that's kind of how my evening is going. So I don't think I've updated you about reading yet, but basically the last 2 days I was reading the book and I finished it at work. So let's just kind of go over that. But first, this is my outfit for the day. I don't know when the last time I wore a mini skirt was. I mean, this is not a mini skirt, but like, you know, a short skirt. I don't normally feel comfortable when I'm wearing them, but I'm trying. I think I come off a little bit more as Christian girl Autumn than I mean to. I'm definitely trying to come off as more queer cottagecore, but like, we're gonna have to make do. I finished You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince, the other day, and I stand by it. It's cute, it's fun, it has all the stuff that you're looking for in like a queer rom-com, in a holiday romance. I will say I don't really buy the like kind of hate Christmas persona they tried to put on Matthew. I think it would have been better if he had just like had an apathy towards Christmas. And I also do stand by that he should have been from the small town as well as his mother, that he should have grown up under his grandparents and like been friends with some of the townspeople there so that he was reconnecting with them in the story. But like overall, it was cute, it was fun. I would say it was pretty well written. I would say the sexual stuff, the steamy stuff was just like a little to me, but I think that's more just because, not that I didn't buy the romance, but like I didn't entirely love how far that they had gotten in their relationship before they got to that. Like I didn't believe we were at that level yet. Like the book very quickly hits us on with these two hate each other, they do not like each other, but Matthew still feels a very strong attraction. I think people feel that way sometimes about people. I've never experienced that, but like I don't experience attraction very much at all to begin with, so like what do I know? But like that's what I wasn't believing. So like when they were picking up steam pretty quickly, I was just like, Hector, my dude, how did you get to this place where you're already okay with him and that you're having fun times with each other? Like, I don't know. Here's the thing about this book. It is definitely Matthew's story of growth, of development, and it did that very well for the most part, I think. If we would have gotten to Hector, I feel like the story would have been more balanced. I would have understood why Hector was falling for Matthew despite his like disasteriness. They're both pretty young. They're like 21, 22-ish. So that is like another thing to bring up too. I just felt like they could have been farther along in their life journeys kind of a thing. I am interested in reading other books by this author. I do like their writing style. I have been interested in their other works, so I'm, you know, I want to take a look at those. But like for a Christmas read, this is good. It's solid. It's a 3 out of 5 stars. Not my favorite, not my least favorite by any means. Definitely one I wasn't like absolutely hating. Like there was a couple eye rolls, but like I did not hate this by any means. So it was good. It was solid, and I'm ready to get started on my Woola Woola stuff because let's be honest, I'm very easily persuaded in that category. But yeah, one Christmas book done. So the other thing that's going on is that it's Saturday, so we're gonna be getting our Christmas tree and decorating it and all of that fun stuff. So Christmas stuff is happening. The other thing is that The Boy and the Heron came out this weekend and we forgot to buy tickets, so we're gonna see if we can, you know, get a showing to that. I also finally got my Good Omens vinyl record, which I made a Tumblr because of Good Omens. Like I made a new Tumblr because of Good Omens. Like that's how much I was entrenched in all of this. Like I've done some little fan art stuff and I've also written some essays, but I wrote a essay about the music of Good Omens, like as a listener of music, not as like a someone who knows a lot about actual music stuff, but like I wrote that. I don't know if I necessarily stand by everything that I said in that essay. I think I might have been wrong about a couple things, but I feel very strongly about the music of Good Omens, and so I definitely feel like this was deserved. This was international shipping, so it was not perfect. Like the corners are dinged up, the top is not perfect. The vinyl's placed, so that's really what is important here, and it looks really good on my wall, so yay. And then I also am reading this at work. This is a short story collection, The Office of Historical Corrections by Daniel Evans. So this is like another thing I'm reading and why it's kind of taking me longer to get through my holiday reads at work. So basically I'm just trying to read a story every day, every other day. And so I actually, like, it looks like I have a lot to go, but I actually have 2 stories left. The final story is like a 100-page story, so that is definitely going to take a good chunk out of my time, but I'm loving this. This is an absolutely amazing collection. I loved her first collection. She's just a really fantastic short story author. It's so interesting because these stories are almost like snapshot stories. Like you're just kind of entering in someone's life for like a very brief glimpse of what's going on. There might be a little bit of character change, but like it's not like a story that feels like it has like a finished ending, and yet they just feel so good and
and so conclusive. I don't know, these are excellently written short stories. They're just so good, and it's making me feel things about, you know, actual literature stuff, you know? So there's this. Next, we have the 2 other books. So of course, An Event of Love and Season of Love, both of which I'm waiting for the audiobooks to come in so I can read these at work, but we'll see what happens. I might start reading these physically depending on stuff, but that's what's going on. So it is Thursday, the 14th of December, so I have been reading this at work this week, and I'm about 70% through, the audiobook says, so I'm guessing maybe somewhere in here. I just looked at the page and I'm completely right. I'm very good. But anyway, I think I discussed what this is about. Second chance romance, like big city girl going back to her small town. Similarly to the last book, it is very big on event planning. What's interesting though is that there's a lot less event planning in this book than I think the first one that I read had, even though I would say she's more established and knows what she's doing. And there's also a lot less Christmassy feeling in this one. Like they're saving a tree farm, but it's just not as much holiday kind of activities, or there's not as much focus on it. The focus is more on this main character kind of having a quarter life crisis, but mostly dealing with her ex-best friend slash ex-partner, and it just being very much about them and their turmoil. But they get together fairly quickly, I would say. They become friends fairly quickly, and that's my main complaint. What's funny is that Matthew Prince, I was like, it would have been better if he had been from this small town, if he was going back, if he had known some more of the people of the town, was more established. And this one, she is more established in the town. She has old friends from the town, people that she knows, her parents, her like dad's ex, who she has beef with, who is kind of like the villain of the story. So like there's the history there, but for me, it's still not quite working. And I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think one, like the friendship between them happens a little bit too fast. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but like the way the information is getting delivered, it's kind of a little bit all over the place. So it's like hard to come up with a full picture for me of like their relationship, her relationship with other people in the town, just because we're kind of flip-flopping all over the place. And it says it's slow burn, like in the blurb, but it definitely doesn't feel like that. They were getting hot and heavy pretty quickly. She was like feeling all sorts of way for her like so quickly. That's the thing that I really didn't enjoy, was that I would have rather had sit in like the pining, like the, oh, I just want to be friends again kind of feeling, and not being able to, you know, like the misunderstandings of like not being able to get on the same footing, and like the forgiveness kind of thing. I wish that would have like taken a little bit more time. Like I wish the second chanceness was kind of more baked in there. Instead, we kind of go very quickly into like corny, cheesy, and I guess spicy territory. And for me, like it came off as very corny and not like fun, because I just didn't feel like we got the like the angst and the pining that we needed to like get into kind of the more like ooey gooey stuff. It goes very hot and heavy, very ooey gooey, very fast, and I did not feel like connected to these people yet. And the other thing is that the tone of like the first couple chapters of her in LA, I would say, are very like goofball-y. It feels like it's gonna be over the top, very fun, very corny, and like that's what I kind of got prepared for and I was really down for. But as soon as she gets to the small town, it gets like, I wouldn't say angsty, because I probably would have enjoyed more angst. It just gets very like serious, I would say. Like these characters are dealing with serious problems. Like I don't mind that, but I just felt like I was set up for a different story in the first couple chapters than I kind of ultimately got when she ends up in her small town. Personally, I'm down for the angst, I'm down for the fraught, but it just didn't quite deliver on those beats that I wanted either. So we're kind of left with like a wonky tone, in my opinion, where it kind of wants to be goofy, fun Hallmark, and it kind of wants to be more serious, but it doesn't blend those two elements in a way that worked personally for me. So I'm gonna finish this out today, but yeah, I'm like not loving it, and I think the audiobook narrator is a little over the top for me too. I don't think that's helping. The last book was like a 3 out of 5 stars. It was not my perfect read. It was fun, it fulfilled the Christmassy thing, but like I obviously had like a lot of notes for it. And like this, I'm feeling similarly, like 2.5, 3, middle of the road. It's getting the job done, but like I have a lot of critiques for it. So yeah, we'll finish this out. But yeah, really really kind of sad. But what's not sad is Good Omens season 3 has just been confirmed this morning, and I am literally like bouncing off the wall. I am about to be so annoying. Very, very happy this morning. So yeah, I will finish out the book today or tomorrow, and I'll let you know how that goes. Yes, season 2. Now I just have to decide, do I want to see any kind of promo? Will I watch the trailer when it comes out? But like, will I look at any of the behind the scenes photos as they start filming next year? Like, I kind of don't want to see any kind of spoilers. I kind of don't want to watch the season 3 trailer when it comes out, but also like, can I stay away? I don't know. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But if you are a Good Omens watcher, how do you feel? Are you going to be looking at every little behind the scenes thing that you can possibly look at, or are you going to be like completely cold turkey, don't look at Good Omens? I want to know. So like all my vlogs, this one kind of fell off. Some memorable things that have happened is that Christmas has passed, the holidays have passed. It's actually January 4th. And the other thing is I'm wearing a different pair of glasses. I was driving to work, I took out a cloth to wipe my glasses like you do, and they broke in half. So these are my old glasses, and they're not as strong as I need them to be. These are 6 or 7 years old because I got these in my senior year of college, and I barely ever wear them because they like slip down my nose, and I hate that. And they're also not the right prescription anymore, and so I can see-ish. Those are really the memorable things that have happened. But I did finish In the Event of Love. I gave it like a 2.5 star, just really middle of the road. Meh. I didn't hate it. I think if anything got on my nerves and I saw things as being corny, it's because I wasn't buying into it, because I just hadn't bought into the story or these characters by that point in the novel, if that makes sense. Like, there was a lot going for it that I liked, concept-wise, character-wise, but like, for me, it just, the execution didn't personally work. But since then, even though it is January 4th, I'm just like not caring about winter season stuff, because it's like, it's whatever, who cares at this point? Like, I didn't feel Christmas spirit or really Christmassy during Christmas, so I don't really care anymore. So I'm trying to finish out this reading vlog anyway by making my first book of 2023, making my first book of 2024 being In a Season of Love, my final read. So I started that yesterday on the 3rd, and I've since been reading it today. I'm almost halfway through it, and I will say it is an improvement from In the Event of Love, because it has like a similar thing of like the two main characters having a lot of like baggage and a lot of struggle. Just like, this book has a lot of heavy topics to it, much like, again, In an Event of Love, but I feel like this book handled it a little bit better because it establishes that kind of heavy tone from the get-go. It makes us aware that the characters are dealing with internal stuff, and that it is going to be not just angsty in like the romance department, but also like, again, there's going to be some heavy topics that are covered, the big one being domestic abuse and past alcoholism. So it's set up from the beginning. We know we're going into that. So I think there's an improvement there, but similarly to the In Event of Love, there is like some weird pacing issues. In the Event of Love is very interesting because it's like split up between like sections, so it almost feels like the author like set up a problem in part 1 and tries to get us resolved to that point so that we can like start like a next kind of issue kind of a thing, which makes sense to me personally. Like, I know why she did it, because we established in the first part like the two main characters are coming together, meeting each other for the first time. They have their own baggage, they have their own kind of hang-ups about why they don't want to be in a relationship with each other, or why they're not going to get along with each other. And so the part 1 is Miriam coming home after her great aunt has passed away, coming back to her Christmas tree farm, dealing with the emotional baggage of seeing these people that she hasn't seen in a very long time, and meeting this girl that she finds really attractive, all the while being like very closed off for a lot of her personal baggage reasons. So like, we're establishing her character arc of what she's going to have to go through, and that first arc is really setting up not just like the entire story, but also like the romance. And so at part 2, we have resolved the question of like all the hangups about the relationship, and now we're getting into, yes, we admit that we like each other, we admit that we're attracted to each other, so now we have like a new set of problems and stuff that we have to face. So I like that, but also it felt like there were so many scenes skipped or like kind of like zipped through. Like, there could have been a couple more moments of like setup where we got things a little bit more established, and just some kind of like scenes in between some of the
heavier stuff to kind of like buoy us along into the kind of conflicts and like stuff that's going on. I don't feel like I'm a person that needs everything spelled out, but there were moments where I was like, can we spell out stuff, please? Like background stuff, because I feel like I'm kind of skimming the surface and I need a little bit more context for things. But overall, enjoyable. It's setting us up to have like Christmas tree, farm, Hallmarky energy, but more baggage, Jewish main character. And I do think I am liking this a little bit more than the other two books, just because, again, it's not just like the heavy baggage stuff. It is not messy, but like, you know, the characters are dealing with shit. They're reserved, they are cold, they don't want to play nice with each other, and that instantly just has my heart, you know? I like that kind of dynamic. I would say I prefer Miriam as the main character, but I am glad that we're getting both perspectives there. But yeah, really, like, I'm almost halfway through, but there's still a lot that we have to cover. I'm very interested to see how this book splits itself up. I personally would have split it up into 3 sections, but I think this is only split up into 2. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten to that point yet, so I really don't know. I would guess that it was probably split up into 2 sections, and then like a third part, which is more like a very short, like 30-page epilogue kind of section, but we will see when we get there. All I can say is a lot is happening, and I'm hoping to read it to find out what's happening and finish it tomorrow and wrap up this reading vlog, because it is January, like I said, so there are so many videos to film, so much planning to do. I could have gotten filming done last week, the week before, whatever, but I didn't want to. Literally, I just come home, I am so tired, my body is so tired, I just can't physically do anything, can't emotionally, mentally do anything, and on the weekend, it's literally like just rot in bed, try to like regain some type of energy balance, especially over the holidays, just being around people all the time. Like, it's a lot, and I'm still recovering. But one thing I am enjoying is kind of being off in my own world at work itself. Like, yeah, I'm tired when I come home, but at least like when I'm at work, I can enjoy myself. But yes, so that is what we're doing. We are ignoring holiday stuff. We're gonna finish this book. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna post this video, even though it's gonna be like in the middle of January. Who cares? In an event of love. The perfect book for January. Definitely the perfect time to read a holiday book is after the holidays. But speaking of holidays, I will say I did get one book for Christmas this year, and it's the one book that I asked for, which is the Good Omens script book. So I did end up finishing Season of Love. It is definitely my favorite of the Christmas books that I read, but it was still like a 3-star. Enjoyable, good. It didn't do what I feared. It actually had 3 separate sections that felt like their own little sections. I mean, it has a lot going for it. It has a butch love interest / lead character, a Jewish main character who is going through stuff, and again, the tone was set up right for this book. I think my biggest thing is that I wanted more to see like why these two were connecting with each other. Like, I believed that they liked each other. Like, I could believe that. I could believe their enemy to loveness kind of a thing, their attraction, but I just needed a little bit more of like why they were falling for each other, and like they were kind of smitten right away. You see our love interest like really falling for Miriam because of her art and stuff like that, and it's hard, you know, for us as readers to really like see that. I feel like this would be an excellent TV series, like an 8-episode TV series. It'd be great, fun, lots of like home improvement stuff, cute like holiday stuff. Like, I feel like it could work in that sphere, but like it was cute. It had all the elements right, had a lot of great characters in it, and I enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. Like, I wasn't infatuated with it. So we've made it to the end of the vlog. I was able to finish all 3 of those books. Yes, one of them turned out to be finished in 2024, but you know, you do what you have to. So to wrap everything up, I read 3 adult queer romances for the holiday season. I have You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince, which is exclusively Christmas and features a lot of event planning and is a male-male romance. I have In the Event of Love by Courtney Kay. This features a sapphic romance, but I would say a little bit of a bigger queer community as well. While this is enemies to lovers, sort of, this is more distinctly like friends to strangers to enemies to lovers. and again features event planning. And then we have Season of Love by Helena Greer, and this is a sapphic romance, again with a larger LGBT community surrounding them. And while the other two books are more exclusively Christmas, this has a Jewish main character, so there are also Jewish holidays in there as well. And again, it features a lot of event planning. All three of these are also small towns. Something dangerous in the town is happening, or to something in the town, so they gotta fix it. That was pretty consistent theme as well. So there's a lot of similarities in between these three. I think they also have like stuff dealing with the characters growing, changing, as well as some more intense subject matter for all of them. This being anxiety, this dealing with a lot of emotional troubles of coming back home and dealing with like friends and family that you haven't dealt with in a while, as well as a alcoholic and absent parent. And then Seasons of Love deals with an abusive parent in the background and some alcoholism of one of the main characters. So definitely this one is the most heavy, and I believe the tone reflects that. But you know, that's all to say they're not one note, and they have a lot of similarities between the three. So if you like one, you might like another one of them. But if you're looking for seasonal, holiday, hallmarky, but gay, these are a good place to start. Again, none of them were my personal favorite. Definitely Season of Love stuck out to me as the best one of the group. But if you said you liked these, like, I'm not gonna diss on that. It makes sense to me. They didn't quite hit my expectation notes, but they were good. They were there to keep continuing this project into next year, and like at some point, maybe hopefully have read like all of these. I don't know. I just would feel so happy if I could just like have a giant stack of Christmas and holiday queer books to like recommend people. But yeah, for this year, it is over. Christmas has come and gone, and we are starting into 2024. So look forward to my 2024 content. And as always, the algorithm is not a friend to small creators, so any likes, comments, subscribes, it is always greatly appreciated. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later, and happy reading.